Another magnificent day here at the Adelaide Street Circuit. The brand new day, brand new decade. And no better place to kick it off than the streets of Adelaide here. Andy Jones is alongside me, and why not kick it off with the Boost Mobile Super Trucks. They were out yesterday for their first race in Adelaide since 2018, and the first round of the new Australian Championship that features no less than 3 rookies. Good morning to you, mate.
Very good morning to you too, Matt Nolte. It is a beautiful day here in Adelaide, and I will echo your comments. No better way to start a Saturday morning than watching some Boost Mobile Super Trucks blaze their way around this Adelaide Parkland circuit. Now, I am stepping in. Normally, you are joined by none other than California's very famous Sean Cermony, but he's not here this weekend. And
Less of an accent, anyway.
And I am loving these trucks, mate. They are super exciting. They're great to watch, and the racing is a whole heap of fun. And right on cue, Sarah Price is showing us exactly why these have become a fan favourite.
It was a flag-to-flag victory for Robbie Gordon yesterday in race number 1. He had some issues with the steering in qualifying, which gave him the start on the front row. But today, we set him out for another qualifying session. And then the points calculated from yesterday's qualifying, yesterday's race, and this qualifying session will set the grid with a full inversion for later this afternoon. So this was originally going to be a race this morning. Decided to turn it into a 6-and-6 qualifying session like we saw yesterday.
And that's one of the cool things about this category is entertainment is massively at the forefront of it. And if, you know, the category organisers feel like they want to mix things up over the course of the weekend, they certainly have scope to be able to do that. And so some days you just don't know what you're going to get. And it's not just the racing, it can be format, it can be how the weekend's package is put together. And for me, that's exciting because motorsport's very structured generally, but it's the complete opposite with stadium super trucks. Very unorthodox, not akin to the way they make their way around the tracks, where you see them on 3 wheels and they're up in the air and they're banging into each other and there's panels coming off. Well, the category runs a little bit similar, doesn't it? But nonetheless, it's very, very exciting. There is some of that 3-wheeling. Sarah Price around the back of the circuit.
Now, like we saw yesterday, 6 have gone into the pits already, so it leaves Matty Mingay, Sarah Price, who's out there wringing the neck of the VP Racing Fields entry already. Sean Richardson, Luke Vanna, Bill Hines, and Paul Morris is out there really as the measuring stick for this crew. The dude had brake issues yesterday aboard the Hulk 4x4 entry. He had rear brakes only, which, for many of you that have never driven a stadium super truck, that's not ideal. He found it out before he got to the grid yesterday and decided just to hang back. Here he is in the number 67. Former world champion in the series over in North America. He won that back in 2017. Didn't do much racing since, but back full-time in this year's series. He was here till late last night. We wandered across the paddock and had a chat to the teams and drivers. Because that was so late in the afternoon, incidentally, it was a really cool time to have him on the circuit. Any time's a good time, but that one was really good. There's a lot of work going on with this truck, and in particular the Matt Mingay truck. He was having brake issues with his Hot Wheels Castrol Edge number 2 as well. So hopefully the crew have rectified those issues and these two have a nice clean race today.
And there'll be people at home maybe going, only front brakes? Well, at least you've got 50% of the brake system working, but it doesn't actually work that way. And particularly in these trucks where when we ride on board and we look back at Paul Morris, he's got a lever inside that car, and sometimes you'll see his right hand just come over. Here we are, right on cue here. And as you turn the truck in, you're actually trying to, there he goes, hand off the steering wheel. What he's doing is he's pulling on this hydraulic lever that will lock the rear brakes. And they use that, the drivers, as a tool to be able to get the car to start to slide. And then it helps them get to the apex. There we are, there's that lever. So Paul just working the rear brakes. And when you don't have those, and we saw yesterday, Paul's very, very well credentialed in these trucks. He knows how to drive them. Geez, that was a weird view, wasn't it? Right on top of it. Normally we look a long way back. That was really cool to be able to see the handwork going on. The other lever to the right-hand side that Paul isn't using there is 2-speed gearbox in these trucks. And at the moment, he's in top gear, making his way all the way down the back chute. Now, when we get to turn 9 here, Paul's on the foot brake, goes down 1 gear, back to... And then he pulls that lever, locking the rear. And there is feel in the driver's hand as to how much they're locking that rear to help them to turn the truck. So when you don't have rear brakes, what happens? you're not turning, and you end up with bulk amounts of understeer, and we saw that from both Paul Morris and Matty Mingay, who was probably struggling the worst with it yesterday.
Spoken like a man who's going to suit up maybe later this year, Andy Jones.
I doubt it. I doubt it.
Come on.
I would love to, but I feel like my feet are firmly set here beside you at the moment, Matt. I get a better view of everything from in here, and probably like everybody at home, we are loving the action that these guys and girls put on.
Well, you were the topic of hot discussion over there last night about trying to get you in at least for a cameo ride at some point this year. He starts another lap. He's quickest on the circuit right now, 1:46.1, half a second clear of Sarah Price, Luke Vanner, Bill Hines, who had a spectacular role here in the very first practice session on Thursday, but limited damage to it. It didn't really hurt the Continental Tyres entry, so he's back out there, who led the first couple of laps yesterday as well, and comes off a podium at the Gold Coast last year. We also welcome back this guy, Sean Richardson, who raced in 2017, both here and in North America. He's got a very busy morning coming up too. He'll jump out of the Super Truck and into his Trans Am car that follows this session. A second race coming up here at the Superloop Adelaide 500. He runs in 6th position, just behind Matt Mingay, literally, and on the leaderboard. This looks like a good lap for Richardson. He's driven in so many different disciplines of motorsport over the years. Born in England, raised in North America, lives here, goes back to North America for a few months. His own business, Road Rage Industries. It's an American import cars business that he's very successful with. Featured in a handful of movies over the years, so we've got 2 stunt guys in our Super Truck field this year. Matty Mingay, of course, needs no introduction to movies in the stunt world over here in Australia, does he?
And if you're a stunt guy and you're making a living out of driving cars around for movies and jumping them over buses and bridges and buildings, if there was ever a category that was made for you, a bit like what we said yesterday, Paul Morris, he was built for this category, and this category was built for him. Likewise, if you're a professional stunt driver and you see this on TV, you'd stick your hand up, wouldn't you? And you'd sign up and you go, okay, I can do this, I got it. And that's the case here for Richardson.
With the very first race here in 2015, we sat down afterwards working out what Australian guys would really fit this category, and Paul Morris was straight up. He entered the next Australian race, which was at the Gold Coast that year, and won it on debut.
And he's been a big advocate for it here in Australia, hasn't he? And likewise, this guy that we've just picked up, Bill Hines, he's really worked away in the background. Robbie Gordon's been the front man for Stadium Super Trucks for a long, long time and has done a whole heap of work. But Bill Hines also in the background has been very pivotal in getting this category up and going, and he loves driving these trucks around. It's always good to see him out there having a run on the streets of Adelaide. Slow lap for Bill in the Continental entry.
He's done 4 laps so far, so that'll be pretty much the end of his session. They're getting 3 to 4 laps each before the flag will wave for this group. Then the next 6 will leave. As I say that, they're doing that right now beneath our commentary position here on Pit Straight. So Hines, who's got a very busy year coming up, he raced in the Saline Cup and the IMSA Series last year with Matty Bratton, picked up his maiden race win at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and hoping for more W's next to his name in the Boost Mobile Super Truck Series as the next group come out.
And while they release the second half of the field out for the next 10 minutes of this session, there's a couple of, I guess, rules or mechanical notes that we should make a point of, and that is 2 sets of Continental tyres are given to each truck for the weekend. Now, they are a radial tyre, which means they have a block on them. They're not a slick like what we see on the supercars counterparts. When that block wears down, it becomes a bit of a semi-slick, and the truck actually starts to handle a little bit better. So a lot of these guys will try and warm their tyres up to the point where you'll see some smoke coming off them as they get on the gas a bit too hard, smoke up the rear tyres. They're actually doing that intentionally to try and wear that block down and try and get a bit more balance in the truck. Now, you do have to be careful that you don't wear those blocks down too much, because the category can come up to you and say, hey, you've done too much on that left rear, you need to fit your second left rear, and then you're back to your starting point again.
Yeah.
The other item is brakes. They only get 1 set of brakes for the weekend. Now, these are big trucks, heavy stops. They are using the rear a fair bit, but the front brakes have no ducting. You can see there's plenty of air getting in, but not directly on the pad. So the pads and the discs get really hot, and they do have to manage that over the course of the weekend. And that's particularly important here, and why we're splitting this group in to 2 as well, is to limit some laps for everybody.
So the second group heading out onto the track right now, while the first group are back into the pits. We'll head there too and say very good morning to Kylie King.
Well, Sarah Price is one of the girls that's been competing out there. No stranger to this category, but what's the racing like here in Adelaide?
The racing here in Adelaide is awesome. You know, the fans are amazing. It's an amazing course. I come from dirt, so this is a little bit different than what I'm used to. Really have to focus on braking points. And, you know, this is an aggressive series, and so I'm looking forward to it. I'm having a blast out there. I'm very grateful to be here and do some good racing.
And the racing yesterday, what were your thoughts?
Racing yesterday was good. I've been out of these trucks for almost 3 years, so it was a little bit to get used to again. The first half of the race went really well for me, and then I made some mistakes the second half that really cost me a lot. We're not going to make those mistakes again. So hopefully today is a better day and we qualify well and we race well.
Well, just looking on that session, second quickest out of that bunch out there. Were you happy with that, or what do you want to change?
Yeah, I couldn't hear in my earpiece, so I didn't know when we were supposed to stop. So I kept thinking we were going to come in, and I think that last lap was my good lap, and unfortunately it didn't get to show. But yeah, second is good. I've been just trying to get better and better and learn these trucks more and more. There's a finesse and art to driving them because they're very twitchy. You have to really be on top of the braking because the brakes fade. And so yeah, I'm just kind of learning and pushing the limits every little bit by little.
Have fun.
Yeah, thank you.
An absolute pleasure to have in the series is Sarah Price. She was the first female in the series in 2016. She last raced, Shay Davies lands down on the right rear, the ramp behind the back of the pits here. Raced at Lake Elsinore back in 2017, but this is her first appearance back in a super truck since then. Lady with so many credentials as well. 17 National Motocross Championships. Replay of Davies.
And just watch his head here when he lands, Matt. Look how violent that is inside the truck. Now, that's not ideal to be landing on the front wheels like that. I think it would have taken a few minutes for Shay just to get his vision back after that one. That's what you might call a little head rattler.
Tooth chipper, I think we nicknamed that one.
Well, I've had that before here. Usually you get it at turn 1, 2 and 3 if you mess it up in the chicane. It rattles your head to the point where your vision gets a bit blurry. And I can guarantee you Shay's suffering from a little bit of that at the minute.
Maybe I should do that. Might straighten mine out. Nonetheless,
yours is from the concert last night.
Right, exactly.
Different sort of vision blurry.
Now, this is interesting. Matty Brabs is jumping into the Sean Richardson truck. Now, this is perfectly legal in the series, so maybe there's an issue with his Carlisle Performance entry. It's John Pengelly on the left-hand side who's helping him strap in.
And you'll notice there Matty getting into this truck. Now, this seat would have been all fitted for Richardson. Matty's a very tall young lad, and his head's up quite high there, so I'm surprised they might need to take some of the padding out there from underneath Matty to fit into this truck. Possibly, we'll see.
It might be a case of him just getting a lap in the books and coming back in here at the moment. So a question mark next to his regular mount, the 83, while Robbie Gordon goes to the top with 1:44.09. Shay Davies is flying. He's really adapted to this category straight away. He was quick on Thursday. He started towards the pointy end yesterday. I think maybe we might have a shock new winner by the end of Sunday as we check in with Toby Price, our Dakar legend in the Boost Mobile entry, on a very good lap here right now. He's in 5th on the circuit with Gardner just behind him. Paul Wheel is just ahead, landing down towards the curb. Great to have Wheelie in the series. 4th position on the circuit with just under 5.5 minutes remaining.
I love the caricature of Toby Price on the side of his truck there. Have a look at it. He is one of the most coolest cats you'll ever meet. He's so relaxed. He's so understated for how successful he's been in the world of not only two-wheel but four-wheel motorsport around the world. And you see there on the side of that truck, that is his inner personality coming out.
And goes to 1 with that lap as well. We're hearing there's a lack of power in the 83, and that's why Brabs has jumped into the Richardson number 12, the Road Rage Industries entry.
And how cool is it from a category point of view that if you've got a problem with your entry, that you can get into somebody else's, still mount a lap, still qualify okay, and it allows you to not drop to the back of the field and fix your truck later on, and then it hasn't actually hurt you.
And the other uniqueness of this series is if you feel a driver has got an advantage, you can opt to take their vehicle for the next race. It's quite different to what we'd see here in Australia, but very, very standard over there in the States.
And like we've spoken about, Matt, entertainment. That's what this is all about, and a fair playing field. So that is a great initiative, and what it means as a category is you can then say, okay, we have prepped all these trucks, and the reason behind that is the category preps the trucks via a common platform so that all competitors have the same opportunity to succeed.
So Brabs working his way down to Sector 2. It's the bottom of the Kenneville Terrace, or aptly named Brabham Straight. And after his late grandfather, Sir Jack, who actually turned the first laps here in his championship-winning Brabham back in 1985 before the first Formula One Grand Prix here. And Matty's had a great opportunity this weekend to drive the new Brabham sports car that's been tested and developed over in the UK, as well as a couple of the Coopers that are on display and have been running around the circuit. Loves his motor racing, two-time champ in the Super Truck Series, raced in Indianapolis a few years ago with Pertec Team Murray. Still hoping of living the dream in the IndyCar Series, but for now, he's right at home in the Boost Mobile Super Trucks. Another replay now of Shay Davies, making quite a habit of the ramp around there. It's another front-end landing. That was Matty Brabham style very early in his career. Oh.
So that's a different replay to the one we saw before. So he's making a bit of a habit of that. But as you come around the back of the circuit there, out of turn 11 in these trucks, if you don't line it up correctly, and when we were on board earlier with Paul Morris, he was able to line it up as we watch Gartner trying to make his way through turns 1 and 3. We've spoken about already this weekend. Stadium Super Trucks, there is no turn 2 there.
No.
They just avoid it. 1 straight through to 3.
And that was
like me trying to do maths in primary school.
Right.
No idea. Couldn't count.
Look at Price trying to pull this one up. The right rear was dancing in the air on the brakes down there at turn number 9. He's trying to make the move on Paul Wheel.
Did they make contact there?
I hope not.
Sort of felt like they were going to.
There's race control. More so USAC and Jason Smith will frown upon that stuff in qualifying. Limited amount of parts that we've mentioned during the weekend. We want to keep these Super Trucks nice and straight for the remaining races of the weekend, as Greg Gartner runs a lonely 6th position at the moment through the right-hander. The farmer from Penola in the southeast here in South Australia. He's won the Fink Classic before. He's been in the Australian Off-Road Championship for the past few seasons too. And Brabs still behind the wheel. This will be his fast lap. His only lap as well in this session. Shay Davies just ahead, who's pulling away to the pit paddock on the left-hand side.
And I made note before, just look how high he's sitting in this truck, Matt. That'll actually be more difficult than it looks, particularly with how much these trucks move around. He'll have to actually be holding his body in quite a lot. I could imagine that's quite difficult to get used to, and not the same sort of speed that we would normally see there from Matty.
So that'll get him to start from 8th position. They gave him 1 lap because of the run in a different vehicle during this session. Just a little over 1 minute remaining. Still Gordon, Toby Price, Shay Davies, Paul Morris. Paul Wheel in 5th, Gartner, Price. And then it'll be Brabham. Back to Vanna, Hines, Richardson. That'll be the order spun around on the points. There's 3 points for top qualifying. That's going to go to Robbie Gordon, so he'll start from the back row. And as ever, the showman turn it on here at the end of the session. You can do that.
Look at the tyre deflection going on there, and the shaking. Just goes to show how strong these trucks are when we get a good look underneath it there. Thanks to Robbie Gordon, our pole man.
Good session, good bounce back too from those issues he had with the Speed Energy Menards number 7 during qualifying yesterday. Started from pole, and it was going to be pretty hard to beat him from that point. So that wraps up qualifying. He heads back into the pits. Their paddock's just behind the final turn there. Has been very busy with merchandise sales and remote control vehicle sales since Thursday morning. Gordon, 3 extra points next to his tally for the weekend already, with the quickest in qualifying here. Toby Price, Shay Davies, Paul Morris and Paul Wheel continuing his consistency aboard that number 50 entry. Gartner is next, then Sarah Price will be Matty Brabham in 8th position ahead of Vanna, Hines, Richardson and Mingay. Will be the corrected order on that one, but we'll flip them around with the points from the previous 3 sessions. We'll start to see the guys like Matt Mingay and Sean Richardson will be on the pole later on today. Take a look at the highlights from the 2nd qualifying session. The Boost Mobile Super Trucks, a very early start here at the Superloop Adelaide 500.
And Paul Morris was looking far more confident in his Hulk 4x4 entry today. They were able to fix the braking issue that plagued him in yesterday's race. No rear brakes at all for Morris yesterday, but looking much more confident today. He was working that rear brake lever from within the cabin pretty hard. And there we go, right there, locking the rears, a little bit of lock on the front, sliding it around. Matty Mingay, though, in the Hot Wheels car, he had a similar issue yesterday where the rear brakes weren't working. He really struggled to get that truck to the apex and ended up slowing towards the end of the race.
See how much the tyres flexed through the turn 9 hairpin. That was the first group finishing off their session. And then the next 6 came out with Robbie Gordon at the front of the crew, and he would set the fastest time on his 5th lap. This was him going through the turn 1 chicane, just carrying. Looks real elegant, doesn't it? Doesn't even touch the inside curb. This was Shay Davies. He'll have a headache after this session.
Yeah, and then if he didn't have a headache from that one, he tried again a little bit later, and he'll certainly have a headache from the second attempt.
But he finished off the session in 3rd position. But Robbie Gordon, quickest in qualifying, 3 extra points, but we'll start from the tail for race number 2, the Boost Mobile Super Trucks, later on this afternoon.